We'll start with, can we have your name, Robyn? I know who you are, but just so everyone knows who you are.
Robyn Cox, and I am, how old am I? 56. Yeah.
And
Maggie?
I'm Maggie Blackshaw, and I'm 52,
52.
shortly.
Yep, I've surfed with these lovely ladies for a while, and they're wonderful surfers. So if you see them out in the surf, say hello, and they'll let them have a wave, and they'll probably give you a wave. First surfboard, Robyn. What was your first surfboard?
First surfboard. Well, actually, I bought a big plastic Fantastic when I was at Mount Maunganui, and I would have been 48. And I just felt like I wanted something that something to do on weekends that would take me away from my work, because I work really hard, and I just needed something that was actually a complete break from my work.
Yeah,
so I bought a big plastic Fantastic. I had it for about 6 months, and then I spent some time up here in Ruakaka and reconnected with Roger.
Yep.
Roger from Surfline.
Did you grow up this way, or how did you know Roger from way back?
Yeah, I grew up this way, and Roger and I were in the same class together.
But you never surfed in those early days? You would have went to the beach a lot, but you never surfed at all?
I lived at the beach and used to watch other people surfing, and so wanted to do it, but my dad didn't like the idea of me associating with surfers.
Yeah.
I mean, that was that whole drug culture, parties, sex, rock and roll.
Yeah.
No, he didn't want a bar of it.
Dad.
Not for his daughter.
Yeah. Now, Maggie, when did you start surfing?
When I was about 40, actually, and funnily enough, my first surfboard was the same as Robyn's, and but I lived in Rotorua at the time, and so didn't actually get to do much surfing.
It's a fair way to, what, an hour and a half to
probably like
an hour?
Makatu was about 45 minutes, I think, if I remember rightly. That was about the closest.
Yep. So why did you think you started surfing?
It was something I'd always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Without actually knowing anything about it, really. And I sort of thought, well, I have to start at some stage, and
I just take my hats off to, because I was lucky I surfed as a kid, but for a lot of people, when they get 45 plus, if they start surfing, they really, really struggle. So both you ladies have done amazing well in your surfing, I'll tell you that.
We have
should
struggled.
be so proud of yourself.
Yes,
Definitely a struggle.
So Robyn, first car
First car
you ever owned?
Oh my goodness. Well, I used to ride motorbikes, actually.
Were you a bikie?
Yep.
So your dad wouldn't let you hang out with...
Well, once I left home as soon as I could. I was like 17, left home, and I was going out with a guy who was into motorbikes, and so we used to do motocross, and he had a Kawasaki 900.
Yep.
So I was a school dental nurse, and I used to ride this Kawasaki 900. It had a low slung seat, so I could get my feet on the ground. And
that's a very powerful bike.
I know. And then I bought a Vauxhall Velox off my grandmother, because Curly died, her husband died, and they had this bright yellow Vauxhall Velox.
It would have been a neat car.
It was, but my grandmother was mortified because she thought when he died that was the end of the car.
So you gave it another life?
Yeah, I gave it another life, and she ended up being driven in this car for a few years later. Yeah.
So Maggie, what was your first car? Can we ask that?
Yes, I think it was a Ford Escort, and somewhere along the line I had a Humber 90, which was this, like, driving this big tank.
Escort would have been a good little car. Was it a bit rusty or not too bad?
It was rusty, actually. Most of my cars have been really rusty, apart from the current one.
Yeah. So Robyn, best surfboard you've ever had? Have you ever had one is it the one you've got now? Probably, because I saw you surfing one the other day, but you ever had one that you've sold, or what's been your best surfboard?
Well, after the big plastic Fantastic, I connected with Roger, and the first board I got from Roger was a Wave Walker, 9'1" Wave Walker. I mean, you always love your first board.
Yeah.
Your first board is like a first love, so I loved that board. And then I was thinking about maybe doing the Hyundai surf comps.
Yes.
So I thought, well, I'll go for something that was like a little bit more competitive, something that was going to allow me to do some radical turns off the top and still like walk the board. So Roger suggested that I look at the Comp C-Wing.
Yep.
And I mean, of course, I fell in love with that board too.
Yeah.
That board was, I mean, it took me into really big waves at Raglan, New Plymouth, like we're talking, you know, well overhead, you know, overhead waves. And, but I could also ride the small waves here at Waipu Cove, so that was a favourite board. Now I've got a new board, so I'm now on a vintage reissue, so that's a 9.2 vintage reissue. And I'm looking forward to falling in love with that board too.
Oh, you're surfing it so well. Maggie, what is the board you've got? What's been your best surfboard?
My current board, which is a long board, and it sort of went through a couple before I arrived at the long board.
Yeah,
and
you've had a few short boards too, haven't you?
Yeah, or shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the 9.1 vintage reissue, and I really love that board, and it looks stunningly beautiful as well.
Yeah, like the owner.
And I've got Maggie's 9.2.
Yeah.
So that's another board, and
7.2.
Oh, 7.2. Yeah, AP3, and that's another surfline board.
Yeah.
And I'm falling in love with that because I can do faster turns, and for me, it's my short board.
So Maggie, what surf clubs are you tied up with? Is it the Waipu one here, Bream Bay Sliders?
Oh, just Bream Bay Sliders. That's all I've been tied up with. Yeah.
And Robyn, you're tied up with a few clubs?
I am, because my parents live in New Plymouth, so I'm a member of the New Plymouth Surf Riders Club.
Yes. As
well as the Orewa Longboard Club, because when I was thinking about doing competitions, I thought, well, maybe if I did a competition each month with them, that it might improve my surfing. And of course, I'm a Bream Bay Slider.
Yep, good on you. Yep. Now, did you have wetsuit when you first? I suppose you had wetsuits.
Oh, absolutely. I like comfort.
And Maggie, you had wetsuits?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
really feel the cold.
So, biggest wave, Maggie. What's the biggest wave you've ever been on?
Oh, I'm actually a bit of a sissy surfer, actually.
We don't know if you lie a bit, but...
But like Ruakaka Racecourse, 2 weekends ago, that was well overhead.
Yeah.
Getting up 6 foot, sort of, probably.
It was overhead.
Okay, well, maybe.
Yeah.
You're getting in those waves now.
Yeah, but I do prefer sort of chest, shoulder.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah.
I think we all probably do. Robyn, what's the biggest waves that you've been paddled out into?
Well, I was really fortunate to have actually been captured by photograph by Daisy Day at Puniho, Easter Masters 2 years ago. And I mean, it's probably a 7-foot wave.
Yeah.
And I ended up being given the Big Wave Award at the Orewa Longboard Longboard Club prize giving.
Yeah,
which
that would have been a big punchy wave with a lot of power too, wouldn't it?
Well, no, it wasn't actually. It was quite fat. One of the reasons that I think I did so well is I actually took my Comp C Wing longboard out on it. Felt really good on it, but it was quite fat to get onto that particular wave. And big as it was actually quite a generous, gentle wave.
Okay.
Actually, and that wave was posted on Surf to Surf or something. You on that wave? It was on that website. It was a huge wave.
That photograph was now. It's like in Live magazine promoting the.
It's
all the surfing in New Plymouth this year.
You surf all your life, and to get someone to catch you a good photo is a very rare thing, because the photographers aren't out there all the time.
Absolutely.
Now, I know what scariest moment, Maggie. I know you've had a scare, and I think you're very brave. Tell us about your scariest moment surfing.
Well, it was a little bit unfortunate actually, but I'm incredibly lucky. It was at Tolaga Bay, and they were really dumpy waves. They weren't particularly big, and I'd nosedived sort of a couple of times, but managed to control it, and then ended up coming off head first, and doing a head plunge into the sand and breaking my neck. So that was, and I was in Gisborne Hospital for a wee while, and so yes, that was.
So
as you can tell,
you're
really
fine
lucky,
now, and I think you're brave. A lot of people would be put off an accident like that, but you bounced back very quickly. So did you have feelings in your leg? You knew something was wrong?
I mean, I never thought in those dramatic terms that I'd broken my neck, but the pain was really extreme down my right arm, and
it sounds like did people move you instead of leaving you?
I sort of got out of the water. You know, I could walk and all of that. I got out of the water, but
You knew something drastic was wrong. Yeah.
I guess I didn't even know. So, I mean, it was really painful.
Yeah.
And I had a blood nose, and
yeah.
it was really white, and I sort of fainted.
Yeah.
On the way, we were staying at the campground there.
Yeah.
And
I think you were very unlucky because
yeah.
Robyn, have you have any scary moments out there?
I've got to say, in the last 18 months, I've had a broken right wrist, fractured T7, split my nose and had stitches in my nose, and the latest one was I've got a bulging disc, but that was actually from stand-up paddleboarding. So the last 18 months have been, there's been a lot of injuries, and what it's taught me is that I need to just be more gentle on myself.
Yeah. You're not 14, is that
I'm not 14.
You've got a surfer, you go out surfing with you and you feel like you're surfing with a 14-year-old because you're a real grommet, happy-go-lucky surfer, so yeah.
And I've just got to, a little bit of self-preservation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, surfing is teaching me a lot about myself and where I need to do things differently.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you're right too. Surf heroes. Do you have any surf heroes? Who do you look up to?
Well, for me,
you probably look up to each other. No.
For me, I mean, I've been really lucky to be in New Plymouth the last 2 years with the ASP tour.
Yep.
And watching the girls on the Dream Tour has just, I mean, it's, I've been fortunate enough to be actually out surfing with them. Like, I'm sitting on my board looking around, and it's like I'm recognising some of the girls who are actually on the tour.
Yeah.
And then to see what they can do on those waves.
And they make it look so easy.
I know,
too.
and I so want to do that.
Yeah.
I would so love to be able to do what they do, but I'm so far from that. It's so frustrating.
No, you're not. Maggie, who did you sort of... Who?
I haven't really...
Yep.
Not in the sense Robyn has. But you know, like the surfers at Bream Bay Sliders, there's some really...
Well, Roger
really
Hall, let's face it, just watching guys like him. No, not
Laurie,
me, no.
Absolutely. Trent Willis, I mean, he's another, he's gorgeous, like the way he walks the board.
Yeah.
Moon Bob, Sasha. I mean,
You just watch those guys and you want to be like them, and it's a good learning thing, I think, for most of us to watch a good surfer. You always get something out of it.
It just looks so nice, and it's really nice to watch, and you see that around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you were young teenagers, what sort of music did you have on that radio when you were off to the beach or whatever? You didn't have a radio on the motorbike, of course, Robyn, but what were you listening to?
Stairway to Heaven.
Yep. Maggie,
I can't. I don't think I had a radio.
The Humber mightn't have had a radio, you reckon? So you didn't have a record player in the back seat going, because, no, okay.
No.
Neil Diamond.
I really don't.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Cat Stevens.
You're too busy in a rush to get to the beach. Yeah. Shark sightings. You ladies had any shark sightings while you've been out surfing? Any?
No.
No? No, you don't want to see those.
No.
You know? Been surfing overseas?
No.
No. Robyn?
I've surfed in Australia, and I was very close last year to surfing in Bali.
Yeah.
And I would like to spend some time overseas, but I want to find waves that are better than what we've got here, and that's, it's like it's like I want to guarantee that I'm going to get waves better, and you can't guarantee. That's surfing and that's life, So, but one day, I'll maybe go to the Maldives or go to Bali or somewhere
Hawaii,
where there's a good reputation.
Too many people.
Yeah, Hawaii, too many people.
Favourite surf trip in New Zealand or anywhere? Have you ever, had a couple of days off and you've been for a surf trip and it's been really memorable? Where was that? And would you,
I'd have to be going to Mahia,
Yep.
Oh, actually, for me it was when I went to Raglan with you.
Right.
Yeah.
That was so... I waited till it dropped a bit.
Yeah.
But that was really... I really enjoyed that trip.
That was nice,
personally.
Yeah.
So we did.
Yeah.
We did forestry, and
yes.
And that was like your first time at forestry, which was pretty cool.
It's
then down to Raglan, and out to Ruapuki, out on the coast.
Right
and that was, and the drive there was
stunning.
But yeah, the bush and the...
You see all those trees leaning over one way and all that sort of thing.
It was stunningly beautiful, and when you look down into the water from the road, it was,
yeah, neat place.
And
we
it was
had a
very
nice
comfortable, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We had the camper van, it was just the two of us,
Yeah.
wines, cheese and crackers.
It was a really
gorgeous.
nice few days. Oh, we went to Port Waikato
That's
too.
right, we did too.
Yeah.
Favourite beach? What's your favourite surf spot? Where do you, if you want to go for a surf, I know Maggie, you probably go Ruakaka Racecourse, but where do you, because it's right there, but where's your favourite beach?
I probably feel most comfortable at Waipu Cove, but because I live at Ruakaka, I go between the cove and
and everyone knows you're here anyway, don't they? Yeah. What about you, Robyn?
Definitely Waipu Cove, and it's because of the people. You know, it's not just about surfing. For me, it's that connection with the place where I grew up, but also with the people that I really care about and who I have a sense that they care about me too. So it's really lovely.
That's lovely. What's the funniest thing you've ever seen surfing on? Anything stand out that you've seen stupid on the way surfing? I know anything stand out that you can remember? Probably putting you on the spot a bit, but
definitely putting us on the spot. Well, I mean, our Christmas dress up.
They're hilarious. Some of the costumes, some people are so good at that stuff.
The
like
Beach
you,
Boys.
Laurie, some of you have been hilarious.
The Beach Boys one last weekend. I don't know if we're trying to get it on the website, but seeing it was Beach Boys, they've taken the music off. But the Beach Boys thing was fantastic, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the funniest thing was, I think people at the beach coming past and looking and hearing these guys pretending to play music, and they scratching, what's going on? But it was a group of people just having a ball, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah. No, and I mean that sense of humour that exists within the group is special, really special.
So you guys surf together a bit, for a while?
As much as we can.
Yeah. Do you know much about the early surfing history in Northland at all? The early surfers, that sort of thing?
Not really, but I'm only sort of aware of bits and pieces from you and looking at the stuff you've done. So, but prior to that, I wasn't aware of it.
It sort of more or less started here at Waipu Cove through the clubbies and that, but then spread.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing your website and learning more about it. I mean, there are some good videos about the history of surfing in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And down at New Plymouth at Pukeariki, they had recently like a show with all the old photographs and boards and things. So, I mean, I wish I was surfing in the 70s and 80s. But I think somehow I don't know, through the sliders, and because of your connection with the history in the past, somehow I think we're fortunate enough to actually have a little taste of it. Like it's, even though things are a lot more crowded now, I think, and because we're riding longboards as well, that I mean, part of my passion for what I do is because somehow I feel like I'm capturing the essence of what you did have in the 80s.
Like you couldn't buy boards. Most of the guys had to make their own boards.
That's
and it was a real learning curve. It wasn't until Americans started coming here, they started looking at these American boards, and that it seemed to work here. So So how long are you guys going to keep surfing for? As long as you can?
Well, I'm 56, and I certainly want to be still surfing in 10 years' time. So it'll be 66. And I mean, when you watch at the Masters, and I've done 5 Masters now down in New Plymouth. When you watch people who have been surfing all their lives, by the time they get to 70, you do start to stiffen up. So I want to make sure that I keep that in mind and do as much surfing as I can, certainly in the next 10 years, maybe in the next 15 years.
So what, this is a hard question. I know a lot of surfers struggle, but what do you think you get out of surfing? Why do you go surfing? For a non-surfer, it's probably... Is it just the joy of catching a wave, or you feel so much better after you've been surfing? You got any?
It's just the combination of things that it sort of surfing involves, really, like being in the water.
A stress relief sort of a thing, do you think
absolutely.
too? If you got work hassles,
exercise factor and the fun factor and just riding the wave, it's just a real thrill. Really.
A lot of good, positive things come.
It's all positive.
I know. When years ago we had a business, and you sometimes be quite hard, and you go for a surf and you'd feel so much better after you've been for a surf. I think it just cleanses your mind or something.
I call it my meditation. It's my meditation on water.
Yep.
And I mean, it's like, to be healthy and to be happy, you've got to have a passion. So it's my passion.
Yeah.
And it's my downtime. It's, you know, it's like when I'm out surfing, I'm only ever thinking of the next wave.
Yeah.
And sitting on that board, it's like I used to ride horses. So sitting on the board is a bit like, you know, having this beautiful, like, rocking motion, which is a bit like a babe in the mother's arms, and you're being held by nature, you're being held by Mother Earth, and it's a real connection with that whole spirit of this, you know, this whole planet that we are connected to.
And enjoying life, I think.
It's beautiful.
You think a lot of
Absolutely
people
beautiful.
sitting home watching TV and they just don't get what we get when you're out surfing. It's hard to explain.
I mean, Pat wonders how I can sit out there for 3 hours, 3 hours, and not want to come in. And I'm like, I don't want to come in because I'm so, like, hooked and getting such a high of being out there.
And you sleep very well that night too, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely love it.
Well, look, I've grabbed these two lovely ladies at the beach, and they're a little bit reluctant, but I really appreciate their time and
I'm
effort.
so glad we've done this now.
And it wasn't painful, was it?
You won't be asking us anymore.
Thank you very, very much for your time.
You're welcome, Laurie.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies. That's brilliant.
Thanks, Laurie.